I'm honored to be here today to deliver my take on the state of our province. Je suis honoré d'être ici aujourd'hui pour vous livrer mon point de vue sur l'état de notre province. You know, I've been the Green Party leader for 10 years now, and I've had the privilege of traveling from one end of the province to another, from Caraquet to Campobello to Cape Tormentine. In fact, there are very few roads I haven't been down, including the 900 series roads, which are not for the faint of heart, believe me. J'ai rencontré des mères et des infirmières, des propriétaires de petites entreprises et des soignants, des étudiants et des enseignants. I've met folks in coffee shops, parents in their homes and on their farms, and aboard our ferries. And of course, I hear from my constituents in Fredericton South every day. What I'm about to say is inspired by all of them. Chacune des conversations que j'ai eues m'a non seulement aidé à comprendre les défis auxquels nous sommes confrontés, mais m'a aidé à voir des solutions. When I talk about the state of the province, I think about the state of people. All of us, everyone, Indigenous, newcomers, Acadians, Anglophones, people of all ages, all backgrounds, and gender identities, all of us. While the Premier measures the state of our province primarily in financial terms, my measuring stick is different. Quite different. Do we feel secure? On balance, are we happy? Do we feel valued? Are the kids all right? Is the natural world around us thriving? Are we proud of the state of the province we're going to pass on to our children? How would you answer these questions? You know, I met a former chief of psychiatry who once told me that a staggering number of her young patients had no sense of purpose. It was incredible. Well, this is difficult to hear. The question is, does it feel to you like New Brunswick is headed in the right direction? In any direction? Looking back over the past year, it's undeniable that we've been rocked by losses and faced many, many challenges. Nous avons perdu des êtres chers, sans pouvoir leur dire au revoir correctement. Nous avons vu la douleur des unes et des autres, mais aussi leur force et leur générosité. Nous avons vu nos personnels de santé se démener pour prendre soin de nous et de nos proches. We mourned the devastating discovery of the unmarked graves of Indigenous children. We've witnessed extreme weather disasters across our country, and now we see war in Europe. It's been tough, but hardship has a way of bringing what's really important into sharp focus. Nous regardons les dures réalités qui vivent tant de gens et nous reconnaissons que, dans bien des cas, les choses n'ont pas à être aussi difficiles. Notre gouvernement a choisi de laisser les choses être plus difficiles que nécessaires pour les gens parce que leurs priorités sont ailleurs, comme dans le livre de compte d'un comptable. As Green Party leader, my priorities are clear. When I think about well-being, I think about the state of healthcare and education. COVID has demonstrated how fragile our healthcare system is and the vital role that our schools play in the well-being of our children, and we've seen that when students have been out of school. I also think about how the climate crisis affects us every day. And we know that the health of our environment and our health are inextricably linked. So we've got to move towards 100% renewable energy. We've got to increase investment in public transportation and help families and businesses make their homes and buildings much more energy efficient, because the cost of inaction gets higher every day. The crisis in affordable housing is driving people out of their homes. I don't want to live in a province where seniors, single parents, or young families, or anyone has to face sudden astronomical rent increases while the government stands by and does nothing. Do you? We need an all-out effort to see the construction of high-quality, affordable housing so people have places they can afford to live in. Les petites entreprises et les travailleurs indépendants sont le fondement économique de nos communautés, mais la COVID-19 leur a imposé défi après défi. Les salons de coiffeurs et les gyms, les restaurants et les bars Les musiciens et les artistes, les salles de concert et les théâtres ont dû lutter. Et notre gouvernement a retenu des fonds qui auraient pu les aider à traverser la pandémie. In sharing the state of the province as I see it, it's important to acknowledge our difficulties, but I want to put the spotlight on hope. And I don't mean the theoretical, maybe one day, what ifs, but the tender green shoots of promise I see growing in all of our communities. I want to take a few moments to tell you about the actions of some of the changemakers I visited around our province to put the spotlight on the hope that they represent. And these are just some of our changemakers. Sœur Aurélie Cormier du Front commun pour la justice sociale à Moncton et Claude Snow du Comité des 12 dans la péninsule acadienne sont des défenseurs infatigables des pauvres. Some are philanthropists like Marcel Lebrun, the founder of the 12 Neighbors Affordable Housing Project in Fredericton, that's providing homes, community, and opportunity to the homeless. Others who work in healthcare, like Dr. Sarah Davidson and pharmacist Dan Pike, established the Riverstone Recovery Center in the provincial capital to support those struggling with drug addictions, another extremely innovative and creative project. In the Moncton area, Paul Ouellette has been a tireless advocate for the mentally ill, campaigning for the establishment of a mental health advocate at the Legislative Assembly, which all MLAs agreed to, and the expansion of mental health courts across the province. In St. John, the nonprofit organization Housing Alternatives has renovated old, dilapidated buildings into affordable housing. In Miramichi, woodlot owner Jean-Guy Comeau works tirelessly in an effort to bring sustainability and local stewardship to the forest resources of their Miramichi for the economic benefit of the entire community. So important since so many of those mills have closed down and the wood is going elsewhere. The folks at the New Brunswick Home Builders Association are actually training and certifying local builders in net zero energy home construction right now. Housing developers Paul Arsenault and Gunther Forrester are building a green community, a whole subdivision of net zero energy homes in Moncton. The City of St. John has its own electrical utility, which is now developing a local wind farm to supply its citizens with renewable wind power. And there are a growing number of young entrepreneurs who have started up their own solar power companies all the way from Bathurst to St. John. Dans le sud-est, la coopérative La Récolte de chez nous soutient le développement de l'agriculture locale et durable pour fournir des aliments locaux. In Sackville, Open Sky Co-op is providing skills training, residential supports, and vocational assistance built around farming to improve the quality of life for those living with developmental disabilities and similar challenges. À Pointe-Verte, des citoyens locaux ont créé une coopérative appelée La Barque, afin de fournir un espace, des outils et une formation pour dynamiser la communauté chaleur. À Sheboygan, des chercheurs de Val-d'Orez, l'Institut de recherche sur les zones côtières Val-d'Orez, travaillent avec les communautés pour élaborer un plan d'adaptation au changement climatique pour la péninsule acadienne. À Edmundston, l'atelier Radeau, un organisme sans but lucratif, gère une banque alimentaire, une cuisine communautaire et un dépôt de vêtements et offre des services d'urgence aux personnes en situation de pauvreté. À Saint-André, les producteurs laitiers Jacques et Roch Laforge ont construit le premier biodigesteur de la province pour transformer le fumier des vaches ainsi que des déchets des entreprises de transformation des aliments en énergie renouvelable pour le réseau électrique. These are just a few examples of the incredible strides being made across New Brunswick. And New Brunswickers are working hard to build the province we want to live in, a place that reflects our distinct and unique character, powered by an economy that's actually suitable to a smaller and significantly rural province like ours. Local governance reform presents an incredible opportunity to empower municipalities across New Brunswick to take on community development, we've got to seize this chance to create the policies that will foster the development of locally led cooperative housing, renewable electricity projects, and community forests. But we've got to convince government to stop surgically removing the forests from the new municipalities. We care about one another, and we know how to get things done, but we cannot achieve it without support. Changemakers face a common barrier: government policies of deregulation, privatization, and inadequate government investment. These policies stem from an ideology that's been embraced by every premier since Frank McKenna, and it continues to be embraced by Blaine Higgs today. This is an ideology that values economic growth at any and all costs and prioritizes wealthy corporations above people and the environment. C'est une idéologie que nous sommes de plus en plus nombreux à reconnaître comme nuisible, inhumaine et non durable. Elle nous fait défaut depuis des décennies maintenant. Why is there such a big disconnect between who we are as people and how governing parties operate? You know, when I was first elected in 2014, I was told by the Liberal government's House leader of the day that the system is the system. I don't buy it. To say that the system is the system leads to young people with no sense of purpose, no sense that their values will be embraced by those who run the system, no sense that change is possible. It doesn't have to be that way. Nous devons et nous pouvons placer le bien-être des personnes au cœur du processus décisionnel du gouvernement. Cela commence par le respect de tous les citoyens en tant que membres de la famille, amis et membres importants de leur communauté. We need to be able to live together with respect. And crucially, this means seeking meaningful reconciliation with First Nations, with whom we sign treaties of peace and friendship. We need to pursue both of those things. But it's important to understand there's no peace without justice, and injustice has been the hallmark of the relationship between successive governments and First Nations. It's far past time for us to change that. I hope, like me, you see how much is possible if the political will is there, if the values of government are aligned with those of our people. You know, as New Brunswickers, we have a strong sense of place and a profound connection to the land. Our commitments to family and community run deep. We take pride in being self-sufficient, but we know we have responsibility to our neighbors. These shared values are the backbone of everything that we do and have really shaped our society. Mais notre société a également été façonnée par des décennies de coupures dans les services publics de première ligne qui ont laissé le personnel surchargé de travail et manquant de ressources. La COVID-19 a mis en évidence la fragilité de notre système de soins de santé et les trous béants dans notre filet de sécurité sociale. Over the years, we've seen important institutions like the New Brunswick Housing Corporation dismantled, which has contributed to the rapidly shrinking supply of affordable housing. The New Brunswick Transportation Authority, which could ensure access to public transportation across this province, in our cities and in rural areas, in every corner of the province, currently exists in name only. The vast Crown lands that cover well over half of our province, once rich in wildlife, blanketed by beautiful forests, teeming with biodiversity, have been turned over to a handful of giant corporations, almost as if they were privatized, and stripped of the abundant life that they once supported. The degradation of the forests has got to stop. Nous avons pris l'habitude d'entendre des politiciens proclamer fièrement que le gouvernement doit être géré comme une entreprise, c'est-à-dire de manière froide, impersonnelle et avec un œil aiguisé sur les résultats. Now, I'm not saying government shouldn't be frugal. It absolutely should be. But too often, Liberals and Conservatives have been penny wise, but pound foolish. Just look at the ongoing nickel and diming of frontline workers in the care sector. Then consider the tens of millions of dollars wasted on chasing costly and risky technologies like small nuclear reactors, or on subsidizing unimaginably wealthy corporations Often the very same corporations that hide their profits in offshore bank accounts so they don't end up paying their fair share of taxes. You know that's not right, and I hear it all the time. Je veux que le bien-être de nos enfants, de nos gens et de nos communautés soit au cœur du processus décisionnel du gouvernement. Where do we start? Well, let's begin with healthcare. Let's start by listening to those on the ground who are providing healthcare services to us and to the people who use them. Healthcare needs to be restructured to be preventative, patient-centered, and community-based. And that means making collaborative care clinics and team-based family practices the norm, not the exception. It means treating both body and mind. It means providing public health with the money they actually need to deliver preventative health care. And it means ensuring secure access to rural health care. Second, we need government to reclaim its responsibility to ensure there's a good supply of affordable housing. After all, that's the point of the New Brunswick Housing Act and the New Brunswick Housing Corporation. It's why it was set up. It's time to reactivate both. Troisièmement, nous devons répondre de façon urgente et significative à la crise climatique, ce qui signifie que nous devons nous éloigner de notre dépendance aux combustibles fossiles. Nous devons prendre des mesures pour devenir autosuffisants en matière d'énergie renouvelable. You know, we're a determined bunch. We take pride in knowing we can provide for our families and our communities. I think that's why there's so much interest in having things like solar panels on our roofs. It's just like having a source of wood heat in the house or a generator in the shed. It's the idea of using the sun to power our homes. It aligns with our desire to be self-sufficient and live more sustainably. That drive for energy self-sufficiency and local sustainability, it's reflected in our communities. Mayor after mayor have told me how they have wanted to power their municipalities with the sun or the wind, but MB Power just won't play ball with them. And in fact, existing laws prevent them from moving forward. You know, I remember as a boy visiting my grandfather on his farm, and he told me proudly that he'd just replaced all the hoses in his car. That day, he gave me a wrench to take home, as if to say, David, you know, you can do the same thing. And his faith in me has led me to go on to try many, many things in my life. Je sais que nous pouvons devenir beaucoup plus autosuffisants, absolument. The simple act of providing someone with the tools they need to get going can make all the difference in the world and open up all kinds of possibilities. Mais il existe des outils que seul le gouvernement peut fournir, de nouvelles politiques et législations qui balayent les obstacles au changement. Un financement abordable pour garantir que le capital nécessaire au changement soit facilement disponible. Ultimately, when I think of the state of our province, the state of our people, I ask myself, what's the true measure of success for New Brunswick? I think it'll be when everyone has a strong sense of belonging and the opportunity for happiness. When we respect one another and live in harmony with the natural world all around us. If each of us, no matter our gifts or our abilities, is accepted, respected, and embraced as a friend and as a neighbor, as a valued member of our community, the state of New Brunswick will be second to none. I, along with my fellow Greens, look forward to working with you to get us there. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Waliwan, Walalawa.